Mr. Mohammed Abdul Manan, you are a serving member of the current governing regime in Bangladesh, a member of parliament. It's great to be speaking with you here today. I want to ask you a few different things. First of all, by asking you about the recent city corporation elections. We saw the swarming defeat of 4 Awami League candidates. The BNP took charge of all 4 cities. What is that leading to, and what does that say for the current state of the party?
I think that's my view. Many people may not agree. City dwellers in Bangladesh who are a little more better off than the villagers.
But it was 4 cities, wasn't it? It was 4 different...
4 cities we lost, but by and large in Bangladesh, that's my observation, people who live in cities are economically better off, more educated, have better life, living comforts than the people in the rural areas. That's number one. Then why? Bangladesh Awami League, my party, its political stance, its economic programs, its various social safety networks are targeted to the village areas, to the villagers, to the people who live in the rural areas, because we feel, my party feels, that they have had a bad deal in the past.
But those 4 areas that the Awami League lost in the elections were previously governed by 4 Awami League mayors.
Right.
Now, so it wasn't that the BNP had been re-elected, or the opposition had been re-elected within those 4 districts.
Okay. Now,
the Awami League lost 4 major seats.
I get your point.
In a swarming defeat.
Yeah, these people who had lost were our party people, but they had been elected before we came into the government. The elections had been held prior to our general elections. Now, the point that I was trying to tell you was that during the last 4.5 years that we have been in power, these 4.5 years, our economic activities, economic programs, social programs, welfare programs, the little bit that we have in our country, have been largely directed towards the rural areas. As a result, people in the cities who are better off, and I would say it quote unquote a little more selfish, would like their side to be more covered.
Well, shouldn't the governing party be appealing to all of its people?
Absolutely, no doubt
so
about that.
what has been done for those? What has been done for those in the cities? And also, if you could tell me a bit about the different policies that have come into action for the village dwellers.
With the resource constraints that we don't have all the money in the world. We have very limited budgets. But as I said earlier, we feel, and it is fact, statistically proven, that rural areas are less developed, far less developed than the towns in Bangladesh. They have hardly any electricity, there is no piped water there, schools are in poor condition compared to the towns. So
what's being done in those villages to improve those conditions?
Yeah, that is very important. There have been some very groundbreaking programs for the poorer section of the people. Like, for the first time in Bangladesh history, people above 65 years of age, men and women, they are getting a very small bit of allowance every month. That is unthinkable in a country like ours 50 or 20 or 30 years before. And then we are giving free books for all children in primary schools, universally. We are building new schools, new classrooms. We are supplying benches, which were in dire need. We are hiring thousands of new teachers, which were in short supply, mostly targeted to the villages. So we are paying girls to attend school every month, some amount of money which you call subvention grant.
So development focused on education?
Yeah, education, health. Like, we've opened up small clinics we call community clinic in the rural areas.
With what we're seeing in these local elections, is this likely to be the case with the forthcoming elections, and is this worrying for the current government?
Well, no, you can't really transfer this to the other election for one reason. Number one, these are local body elections, not fought prima facie on party basis. And most important, symbols, party symbols are very important in underdeveloped countries like ours. The boat, the moment the voter sees boat, he remembers Bangladesh and War of Liberation and Awami League. The moment the voter sees the sheaf of penny.
Do you think the Awami League sort of almost uses the War of Independence to move forward? Because I know you said people start to use this patriotism, and that's what's associated with the Awami League because of the War of Independence. Do you think that's the main selling point for the party?
Absolutely, it will remain for all times, because that is the most important turning point, most important watershed in our history.
The Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina announced that an interim government would be taking over in October, and after that, of course, the general elections within the following few months. Now, the main opposition party, the Bangladesh Nationalist Party, have said they will not participate in any of these elections unless there's a caretaker government installed. Now, what does this mean for the forthcoming elections?
The point that we have to see here is what the laws are enforced at this moment. The laws in force that we have in our country now says the elections will be held under the outgoing government, like they do in the UK, in the US, India, everywhere. So you see, on that level, we are absolutely on very hard, legally solid ground. Now, the opposition, for some reasons, they can explain better, would like the government to be completely taken out, and a caretaker government of their thinking should have to be moved in. We think that's a retrograde step. We think we should be trusted. If we could be trusted for 5 years to rule this.
Well, the opposition party say that the Awami League are incapable of holding a fair election. They say they don't believe that the government can hold a fair election and that they will be able to participate in.
That's completely wrong. See the last 4 or 5 elections, the city elections, we lost in the cities. If we were crooks manipulating elections, we could have done those. What else proof do they want? Prior to that, very large elections in Chittagong, 2 years before, from now, we lost. Another very large elections in Comilla, which is very near Dhaka, we lost. So, their logic is absolutely, has no ground whatsoever.
The current alliance of the governing party with the Jatiya party seems to be on some shaky ground, as Shadis has made some noises. Can you tell me a bit about that?
I can't answer for General Shad. He has been our ally for some time now. I think in politics one has to bargain for and make changes in position to get more out of it. That's my way of looking at it. But I think at the end of the day, General Shad, for him, we are a better bet than the other side.
Is this something that feels threatening to the stance of the current government?
It's not a threat, it's a looming threat, way distant. He has a number of voters in the country, 5, 7, 8% maybe, solidly. So this swing would be very important for any party. But on a political level, on an ideological level, on the levels of looking forward, I think he's closer to us than the other party. So at the end of the day, I'm sure he will choose to stay with us, which is good for him, good for us, good for the country. Win-win for all.
I asked Mr. Mannan about recent developments from the International Crimes Tribunal.
Well, International Crimes Tribunal are on board. We have very clear laws. We have the courts sitting, and its process is absolutely transparent. They have their lawyers. They are appearing on due dates, and some verdicts have been given. They are going for appeals process. Some more verdicts will be given very soon, I'm sure. So this International Crimes Tribunal absolutely on clear and transparent areas, and anybody can watch and go and see.
The International Crimes Tribunal has come under attack from various international organisations, including Human Rights Watch. I questioned Mr. Mannan as to how that affects the confidence of the Bangladeshi people in their government, as well as the government's perception by the wider international community.
True, there are views, but you see, we are a government in power, and we have to establish our relationship with the governments in power in the other countries. So what is UK? What does the US say? The governments in these countries have said that they are satisfied with the level of transparency in the course of trials that we are doing. Now, there are groups of people, they have their own agenda, Human Rights Watch or whatever watch, We don't contest them. They have a point, but the point is we have to deal with the government in power. We have to deal with the conservatives who are in power here now. So, on that score, I think in the global community as a whole, including the United Nations, Ban Ki-moon has clearly said that they see no problem with the trials that are being held. So,
the trial through absentia of British citizen Chaudhry Moinuddin has changed the involvement of Britain in the dealings of the Bangladeshi courts. I spoke to Mr. Mannan about this particular case.
Well, Britain has its own laws. If we ask for extradition and if the laws permit that, they will give us. But as far as I know, that's a different matter altogether. I can't answer for them. But this person has done certain misdemeanors, has done some mischiefs, has done some criminal acts.
He says that he completely denies any involvement.
Fine, he has to deny in a court of law, not outside. He has been summoned.
His lawyer says that there has been no contact made to him or his lawyer. It's all been done through via the media, so there hasn't
Absolutely,
actually
that
been
is how
any formal request.
No, people who run away from the country, people who run away from the courts, even within the country, we have to go to the press, we have to go to the media and say that so and so.
His lawyer says that he has received no formal
We don't
request
know where
for
he's
child
living. How
immunity.
can we be? Because this person has been out of the country for the last 41 years. We know he's around here somewhere, but we are not in touch with him. As far as I think he's not even a citizen of Bangladesh now.
So are you saying that it's because you don't have an address for Chaudhry Muinuddin that the Bangladeshi government or the Crimes Court Tribunal has not sent a formal request for his
If we had an address of this man in the country, of course a notice would go there, a warrant would go there, but he does not live in the country. And then we don't know where he lives in the UK. We know he lives here, but formally there is no way for the court to know at what postal address is there, so for the notice to go.
As a result of the Crimes Tribunal, we've seen many strikes in the country. We've seen a number of hartals, as they call it in Bangladesh, and this has had a massive impact on the economy. We've seen losses of hundreds of thousands, millions as a result of these strikes. How does the country move forward from this and put a stop to the impact on the economy?
Yeah, I agree with you. This is a silly thing. This is silly in a country that we have to resort to this kind of a thing when we have open, transparent political system. You know, it's available to anyone to form a party and to participate and to agitate. But to burn tires on the roads and to pelt stones at buses and public properties and to hit people and to really sometimes even kill innocent people, that's not acceptable. And I can tell you, I'm very glad to tell you now that I think we are at the end of this run of the unruly hartal system. Of late, there has been a sort of lowering down in terms of numbers and in terms of violence also. So I hope in the next few months it should be completely out.